Hello, I'm Stefan Endepuls, doctor in biology. I did study in zoology, behavioral ecology and epidemiology several decades ago. And for more than 40 years now, I'm working in the field of pest management, in particular rodent management and stored grain protection. Now, K-OBIOL is one of the most popular or most successful options in protecting grains from infestations with stored grain insects. K-OBIOL actually is an old product. It has been developed in the 1980s, 1990s, based on the very successful and very efficient active ingredient deltamethrin. Deltamethrin is a very stable compound, which makes the product K-OBIOL a very stable product in protecting grain for more than half a year or even 1 year against most or even all insects infesting grain in silos and also on farm level. We have developed two different products of K-OBIOL, an EC formulation and a ULV formulation. The first one can be mixed up with water for use on farms and in little grain store units. The other one, the ULV, is for ultra low volume fogging. That means you need a special fogging device to fog it into the grain system with very, very little tiny droplets which distribute very equally in the stored grain and protect it for months or, as I said, up to 1 year at a very, very low level. Of course, we support K-OBIOL for decades already in regulatory because we face more and more increasing requirements to get these type of products registered in several countries in the European nation and overseas. That means we have to face problems with particular inerts in the product which have to be replaced, but also with the decrease in the residual level which is permitted on grain during storage. So therefore we adapt the product regularly. That's one topic we are busy even today to ensure that K-OBIOL will be available for our customers in future years and decades, hopefully. Grain storage generally depends on the conditions of grain storage. So the better the conditions are of grain storage, let's say temperature, humidity, cleaning of the grain, etc., the lower the probability is that the grain will be infested with insects. However, it cannot be completely prevented, and therefore we come in with K-OBIOL, which is a product first to protect the grain for a long period, but also to treat very low infestations, in particular in the grain, and to prevent that these infestations develop further into the whole grain batch or become a more serious infestation. That's the main aim of applying K-OBIOL on grain. And of course, generally it should be recommended that before any grain treatment is done, in particular any acute treatment, because an infestation has been developed, to store grain under optimum conditions, low temperature, low humidity, clean grain. We know many pest insects infest grain only when there are broken grain parts in it, and the lower the content is of broken kernels of grain, the lower the probability is that new infestations will develop during months or years of storing the grain. K-OBIOL plays an increasing important role in grain protection because some of the old active ingredients which have been used effectively over decades have been withdrawn from the market now mainly for toxicology reasons. So the big advantage of K-OBIOL obviously is that it has not that toxicology issues, and a treated grain can be used the day after to make bread or beer or pasta, and the only problem so far is, of course, regulatory hurdles becoming higher and higher, which means probably we have to face lower residual levels, lower maximum residual levels, and we have to adapt the product accordingly so that for the customer the application of the product remains the same. He has not to change any device and he has not to change his general practice in protecting his grain. We will develop and we will deliver products and K-OBIOL generations which fit to his habits and which make application on grain as easy as possible. So developing and supporting our K-OBIOL products in our laboratory, like you see here, these trials where we just run tests of several variations K-OBIOL with standardized grain treated in our laboratory and several kinds of insects in it, several species. We also communicate with our community. First of all, it's a community in our NU environment. We have technical people sitting all over the world, in Asia, in Latin America, in Europe. We communicate with them, we get feedback from the market, from customers when we meet with them. And on top of that, of course, from time to time, we organize customer events here in the laboratory and go into the field, go into the laboratory and show our customers, or even people from authorities, how we work on K-OBIOL, how K-OBIOL works, and how we support knowledge about grain storage and how we support this generation and maybe the next generations of the K-OBIOL product based on delta methylene.